So that's probably a good segue over to Gerbrand to talk about Inmarsat, where it's at now, where you see it going in the future.
I can do that. So my name is Gerbrand. I'll spare you my surname because it's Dutch and most of the people will not be able to pronounce it. People in the industry know me as Gerbrand anyway. So I'm within Inmarsat, responsible for the sales team of the enterprise. We have a couple of business units. We split the market in maritime, which is the lion's share of our business. Think about tankers, containers, fishing boats all around the world. They're the one using Inmarsat services. Sorry.
777's good work.
Yeah, Aero is the next one. We do aircraft as well. We have government, so you're really looking at armies, navies. ADF is one of our key customers in Australia. And then we have the enterprise segment. The enterprise is sort of a catch-all for what doesn't fit in the other segments. But if you split it out, you really look at media, so things like CNN, BBC, ABC here in Australia. All kind of people that are in operations. One is that media reports from war zones. That's when they use our stuff. United Nations, aid organizations like Medicine Sans Frontières. That's a category. Energy, so everything that has to do with oil and gas, everything that has to do with mining resources. They're all operating in remote locations, need reliable communication. That all fits into the enterprise segment. Within the enterprise segment, we have a range of products, and the main product we use is BGAN. And BGAN is sort of the family name we have. The unit over there is a BGAN. The unit over there is a BGAN. This is a BGAN which we're going to launch in the second quarter. We'll tell a little bit more about that later on. The BGAN is the land family. Maritime, we call it fleet broadband. On Aero, we call it Swift broadband. Basically, all the same technology using the same satellite, but this one is for land. Now, on the land side, we're investing in away from the basic service into multiple directions. One of them is into higher data rates. So going back to the media companies. So instead of giving you guys broadcast, which is like a patchy portion when they have a live broadcast, they now get terminals where they can actually send messages across in HD quality. So you will have reporters, and for example now BBC, CNN are testing it. You will have reporters in the field and they're actually having the interview in HD quality, which goes back to you on television. So that is one direction that these terminals are going. Then the other direction we're taking with BGAN is more fixed price, fixed site applications. So it's much more, I don't know if you VSAT technology, if that says you anything, it's like the larger dishes that are used on mining sites, for example, oil and gas. They're used for continuous data streams. We're actually positioning the BGAN as similar, but then much smaller. So you have a fixed unit that can have a continuous data link with your headquarters. The other direction, and this direction where we're talking about today, is everything that has to do with M2M, Internet of Things, SCADA. It's all same different terms for the same technology. We have whole discussions within our company if it is SCADA or SCADA, depending on which country the person is coming from. But we're actually moving into that direction as well. And there, this development probably over the last 3 years, we really accelerated with new generation of terminals, manufacturers really developing terminals, but also designing the network in such a way that the reliability from machine to machine has gone up enormously, and we can handle much more. If you think about the number of units we have on the network today, who do some kind of an M2M, we're probably around 100,000 units or so. And we expect this to grow to over 1 million M2M devices on our network within the next 4 or 5 years. So it's really a large expansion of what we have. And one of the things you see there is that where the big ends today are terminals like this. I'm sure we have some more here today. They actually become smaller, and they become higher volume terminals as well, because we produce more, we have more in the field. They actually get cheaper as well. Very simple equation. What we're also doing is we're pushing towards technology where the big end moves to core module technology. So system integrators like Pacific Data can actually integrate the core module into their solutions and basically just add an antenna to the solution. If you need big end connectivity, then you just add the big end antenna to your device, and then it works. That's step one. That's where we're currently working on. A couple of manufacturers are already having core modules or prototypes. The next step is actually chipset. So you actually have a chip which has all the big end technology on a chip, and it actually means that OEM manufacturers, and again that can be Pacific Data, but you can also think about companies like Schneider, ABB, that actually take the big end chipset, integrate it into their devices, and basically you can connect antennas to it. You have the connectivity again. Now, if you look at price developments, that will drive down prices significantly. So there you go from terminals that are currently at the price levels where they are, you go to terminals that maybe will be less than $100.
So just on that, Gerbrand, one of the questions I have is 100,000 M2M devices connected now. The next 3 years, a ramp up 3-5 years to 1 million devices. I'm sure the audience would like to know if that's also going to reduce the price of the airtime with these sorts of things, or will that remain?
I think that remains to be seen. But just to give you an idea, because running satellites is not a cheap operation. We currently have, I think we have 11 satellites. We currently have the third generation and the fourth generation which are carrying the traffic at the moment. We are actually launching the fifth generation at the moment. We launched the first satellite of the fifth generation back in December. It is now in position and it is functioning well. We're launching another 2 of that generation later this year. One in the third quarter and one in the fourth quarter. And it means then we have a fifth generation of satellites. That generation of satellites is slightly different than what we used to do. It's a little bit technical, but all the Inmarsat services so far have been on an L-band frequency, which is aimed at mobility, smaller data, very reliable services. This fifth generation is actually based on a Ka-band technology, and it's much more higher bandwidth, higher throughput technology. What it will do, it will actually take some of the high-end users that we have, for example on maritime, on aircraft, but also on the land side. It will take it from what they use, capacity they use today on the fourth generation, it will move gradually to the fifth generation. It actually creates more space again, more frequency than we have on fourth generation, which will benefit all the M2M business. The same as we actually launched last year a fourth satellite on the fourth generation as well, which is, call it an in-orbit spare, because you need 3 satellites to have global coverage. So actually fourth satellite is sort of redundancy. It's a $500 million redundancy, but it is the type of reliability that we have to offer to our customers, because you talked about the aircraft. That's the type of services we offer. It's the same for ships. If a ship goes down anywhere in the world, the sailor knows when I push the button, the alarm will go, somebody will come and rescue me. This is what the system is designed around. But what it also, that fourth one, what it does, we put it in last year only, It actually takes the area where we have most of the traffic, which is Middle East, Africa, and Europe. It actually gives double the capacity there. And again, that benefits what we can do on machine to machine, because it creates more benefit. Now we're already working on the 6th generation. These satellites run for 15 years. In the business case scenario, if you manage them well, they will do 20 years, 21 years. And I think our track record is that we are 20, 21, 22. But 15 years where we run the, let's say, all the financials. We're already designing the 6th generation. The 6th generation we're launching in 2019, 2020. But currently we already have people working on it and designing the satellites and thinking what and how people will use satellite communications in 10 years from now. Because if you start thinking about designing a satellite, you have to do your design, and you have to do the building, and you have to launch, and you have to put it into position. There's almost like a 10-year lag between initiating a constellation and it being operational. So you really have to think almost like futuristic, how are people going to use it in so many years from now. So that process is ongoing for the 6th generation, and that we're going to launch, like I said, by the end of 2019, 2020. So investments, a lot, but everything is about reliability. That is the primary thing we do, quality and reliability. So if you look at price fighters, we will never compare ourselves from a quality point of view with a global star, for example. It's a completely different way of thinking. We want to compete, and we do compete, but the key thing is that whatever we offer will always work within a certain parameter of giving you the message, delivering you the message, and that is what we do. And that means that if you're designing your networks, if it really doesn't matter if you get your data now in an hour or in a few hours, that's a completely different requirement than people that need to have the data straight away and they need to be able to rely on the data. And I think, I'm not sure if there's people in the room that have anything to do with pipelines. Not so much. Probably the closest to time critical. But pipelines, for example, in North America, they are monitored as well with satellite communications. And it basically monitors a variety of things, but one of them is it monitors the flow. And if the flow between various points differ, it means that something happened with the pipeline in between, and you basically have to close down the pipeline. If that doesn't work within a few minutes, you can imagine the consequences it has for these pipeline companies. And this is where Inmarsat is really stepping in, and where we actually say, okay, this is the stuff that you use, but this is also the guarantees that we give for it to work. And the same actually in the utility sector, where reliability is key. And because it's a new, let's say, relatively new within our part. And like I said, there's a lot of developments over the last 3 years. You actually see that customers are pushing us as well in improving. So where we move from a couple of minutes, and we moved it to 4 to 5. Now we have customers that are asking for 2 and SLAs on 2. So we really have to make changes on the systems as well to keep up with the requirements on the customer side. So that on the M2M side. And while I have you here, I'll just show 2 new things that we're launching within the next couple of months. One of them is a handheld satellite phone. I think many of you have seen it already, or have seen something similar. But this is the next generation that we are launching. And we start let's say the shipment on March 24. The AST has it in the portfolio. Basically, satellite phone, very quick acquisition, very competitive at a rate compared to some of the competition, and just a very reliable phone.
Rugged. Very rugged.
Yes, for sure. This is another one, and this is still a prototype. This we're going to launch in the second quarter, and this is basically a satellite, like hub. We call it ISAT hub, which you can put anywhere in the world. You will have your data connectivity within a minute and a half on our network, and you connect it with your phone or with your iPad. So you just anywhere in the world, you just put it out there. It's got a single button, on off, and it will indicate with the switches where you have to point, and then you are in business. So this is really a device which, in addition to the phone, which gives you the pure voice capability, it actually gives you the data capability as well, and you can actually run voice over IP over it as well. This unit will be less than $1,000 in the end, and we expect this to be. We have quite a few people that are moving around just as a health and safety device, but also if you really need communication, and you just don't want to have just voice, but you also want to do your email and be able to do something when you're remote. And this is something that you can actually give to any guy that goes in the field, just to put it in the truck with that.
What sort of data rate can you get with that?
This one will go up to 300 kbps. So I know, for example, Iridium launched Iridium Go recently. That's 2.4 kbps.